Hello guys. Yeah, I was just worried that maybe I had the wrong link.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Hi, Don. Hi, Bogdan.
Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you.
Okay, so I hope I will live to Dale's expectations of me moderating this event. As you probably know, he's on vacation, so he's enjoying some time with his family. Cool.
I've forgotten what that is.
You let him have vacation?
Yeah, I haven't had vacation in maybe a few years.
Yeah, same with us.
Cool. So I think I will just share my screen so we have something to look at. Screen 2. Okay. Cool. So here we are again. I think I've been to one of these events, but it was in the webinar format. So it's good that we can also see each other's faces. Let's see what we have for today. I think this event will also be recorded. I think the recording already started. So just so you know, not to say certain things, they will be out there. Cool. So I get it that this is an open conversation. So let's see what people have. What do you have on your plate? I'll be happy with my, let's say my past experience, because I used to do this a lot, not so much nowadays on the technical side, but with my experience, I think I can add some value to the conversation as well. So if you want, let's just do like a round table of what everybody has on their list, and I will write it down and make sure that we touch on all points. Cool. So Don, you want to start?
Sure, happy to. I don't have any development questions. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have 1,000 development questions, mm-hmm. but the first one is that the idea of show me how it works. Mm-hmm. I have a current Plan and App project. It really is more of a form action grid project. Mm-hmm. Really doesn't require all of the cool workflow code that really makes Plan and App the low code, no code tool that it is. So I haven't had experience using it. And of course, my plate is very full of projects, so I don't have time to tinker. So what I'd like to do is see more case studies and have a very short, to the point tutorial of here's the application, this is what it does. To do so, here's the basic architecture of the application, and here's how we use the tool to implement that architecture. That's what I would like to see in the case studies. The case studies that I've seen, they roughly not even talk about the architecture. They just talk about the business case, very high level, which is okay. But what's missing for me is, okay, how would I architect that? How would I make that work? And then let's take a quick look at the code. Now, I don't want that to be an hour or two lecture because I don't have the time. So what I'd like is something very, very quick. Now, I know that takes some time. You and I worked together on the initial message, your initial commercial that's still on the front of Plan and App. I would be very happy to continue working with you on doing the voiceover for the instructions, so we can squeeze it down to something very quick, because I know it'll benefit me, and I'm thinking that it'll also benefit a lot of prospects looking at Planet App and how can I use this. So having case studies that are 15 minutes tops, showing the detail with all the different pieces. Don't have to explain each data type. It's just, you've got this kind of record, you got that kind of record. You ask this way, you go over to the workflow and see how it flows through, that kind of a thing, but very quick. So that's what I'm interested in having and talking about, and getting your feedback on, is that something that is worthwhile?
Sure. Cool. So I think I'll keep the format from there. So let's do the roundtable, and then we'll talk each of these points, if you're okay. Cool. Okay. So let's see, Mark, what's on your mind?
Sure. In the past sessions, I came with a list on my other screen, and I pretty much dominated the last couple sessions with all my questions. So I was going to take it easy and let somebody else ask a question this time. But as far as along the lines of what Don said, the part that is the newest to me is the parts that ties things together in workflows. I am working on trying to understand how to do those effectively, and I revel in Reza's description of how he's got so many workflows and he's got them compartmentalized and stacked. I want to get there, because I think that I could really benefit from that. And but I'm still making my first several workflows to start with. So that's the direction that I would like to see more of. And I think that will come up in our conversation. So I'm confident to do that and help. I have a few small questions about trivial things. So I can wait for that.
Okay. I will put it here on the list anyways. So if we get to that, we'll go over them. Cool. Craig?
Hey, Bogdan. To kind of piggyback on what Mark was talking about, the Wednesday calls that Reza goes through and shows all of the cool things that the new Plantain app can do. I've been in the Plantain app now for 2 or 3 months, and just learning the new ways to do. I find myself going back to the old ways, and I got to retrain myself to do the new ways, because I know there's a certain progression there. But the stuff that he's building, like the user coming back and not having to log in, all of the cool things, I would love to have some of that. And I know he talked about sharing a lot of that, to have access to that so we can use that as a roadmap to learn. Because there's a lot of new cool things in Plantain app that I stumble upon by accident. The training videos was great. It would help go through the ticketing system, how to do certain things and how it looks and how things are connected. But the custom stuff that Reza is doing as well kind of goes above that, and would give me, and I'm sure other people as well, that roadmap of, I'm looking to do this project for a customer. I can kind of use this. This gets me into the right direction. I can copy a lot of that. And then kind of massage it and customize it to my current needs.
Cool. Makes sense. And probably this is something that I can answer to you right away. So we do have a marketplace concept in design. So at some point, these solutions that Reza is building, there will be like a marketplace where you can download them for free, or other users can post them that are paid. And you can have these micro applications that you can deploy on your existing sites. So that will open a world of collaboration and possibilities. But probably we are maybe 3 to 6 months away from that moment.
Okay. Any way that he can share, some of that now with, kind of a core group to use that for kind of a learning thing and become advocates to help other folks?
Yeah, I will wrote it down and reach out to him to see if it's in a shareable format.
Yeah, that's what my next question was. Is it even possible to do that?
Yeah, I think he did have an instance where he implemented all of that, right? So I'm wondering if he can clone that system and send it to you so you can log in and see how it was done.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just, export and import in and use what you have, or, use what you need. If there is kind of like you said, a system that we just have access to, look at, this is what I need. I'll just export these 4 things and import them in. That's a lot easier than, typing it from, it just gives you that concept as well.
Yeah.
Or roadmap.
That'd be great. That's a great idea.
Yep. I will talk to him to see if there's a way we can get that. I mean, basically you could recreate all the steps from the video, but probably not everything is visible in the video. Probably a lot of steps were done behind the scenes.
Yeah. And that's fair. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Ben, what's on your mind?
Hi, Bogdan. I feel like Mark said, I know last week I felt like I kind of dominated the conversation because there was a lot of stuff that I was talking about there. So I think I covered mostly everything. I'm not coming from a Plant and App user. I'm coming from the DNN Sharp module direct side, mainly because unfortunately right now I can't use Plant and App because it's not portal aware. So until that happens, that's not something I'm going to be able to take advantage of. But I figure since I have been using DNN Sharp modules for, oh goodness, Bogdan, I don't even know how long, close to 10 years now, it feels like, that, I can always learn more. And sometimes I can, share my experience as well, like I did last week with the ability to search for custom code in any of the modules. So just here to learn and, give out any information I may know that can help people.
Thanks a lot, Ben, for being here.
Yeah, we'd like to see Ben's application for finding custom code in modules. We'd like to see that in the marketplace sometime soon.
I would love to be able to share that. There's that and a whole bunch of other things that I've created that I've tried my best to make them as portable as possible because I copy them myself to all of the new instances that I create for clients or whatever. So, hopefully one day when that marketplace comes about, I'll be able to, share the code search, my template manager, my email manager, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yep. Makes sense. And I think that's the value of the community because you see everyone has some special, tricks that they know, and that they are willing to share, but then it's difficult to share nowadays until we have this easier import-export that's not just a module, it's a collection of modules and files and so on. Yeah. Like Dale, Dale is, he had that pusher integration that people were interested in, that was like his thing.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I like that push-your integration. I like that a lot. I have some ideas for using it.
Yeah, I'm using that today in a side-by-side helping somebody fill out an application. So it's actually working very well.
So then, in terms of going back to what Dale said about the case studies, we do have an initiative. So, I mean, if you look at the website, I don't like it at all. It's old. We didn't put any new case studies. And it's like you said, Don, it doesn't have a lot of information about the architecture, how do you do that, right? But then at least with some of these case studies, you have like a perspective on what they built, the use case, because a lot of time what I discover and what I use in sales nowadays a lot, it's use cases, right? What others have built, and that's a trigger for many people. So for example, this case study that we added, it's a university from Glasgow, yeah, I think from Glasgow. And they are I mean, the guy will probably join this event very soon, so he's very talented and he did a lot of stuff with the DNN Sharp modules, and now he moved to Plant and App. So then he was able to build this kind of systems. Like this is a COVID tracking system with appointment scheduling for testing, for students. And he built this in 2 days. And then, of course, he iterated a bit more, added more features, but the initial deployment was 2 days. Right? So yeah, I mean, they are now like in this text format, maybe a few screenshots, but you don't see behind the scenes how they were built. Yeah. But this is what I wanted to point out is that this is something that we are starting thinking about industrializing, because we have maybe around 30 use cases right now with PlanTNet, ranging from, I don't know, patient portal, document management, ticketing systems, So then we are thinking, let's build this central repository of use cases that we can share with our publicly with our customers on the website, with leads, but also with customers and also with partners, right? So then it can be used by partners as a sales tool. We only have a few, I think, nowadays. Let's see, but then our partner could come and look like, let's see what do these guys have in let's say in healthcare, in healthcare, in HR. No, I think we have. I will just leave it empty. No, and then you have like a list of case studies, and now it's just basic information. But basically we want to extend the system, and then you can maybe even generate a PDF from here that's co-branded, and you can share it with the customers, right? And also add more resources in here. I'm not sure how many resources we have, let's see, attached to case studies, but we'll have videos, we'll have screenshots, so then you have a lot of resources to figure out if there's a use case that's close to what a potential customer want to build. So this is an initiative that we have, and probably this will start moving fast. So I'm hoping in 1 month we'll have this ready to share it with the partners as well. And I do get what you mean with the 15 minutes video. The other thing that I think is what Craig was referring to is the academy. So I'm not sure, Don, if you went into the academy, but it's not a 15-minute thing. No, it's like a longer thing. Let's see, start course.
I hadn't heard that it was available. I learned from Dale a couple of weeks ago that it was on its way, but I didn't know that it was online for us to see. So that's fantastic. I'd like to go look at it.
It's in private beta right now, so you cannot find it publicly, okay, but I can send you a private invitation and you can access it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but it's like a big thing. The good thing is that a lot of these things you can skip, like roles users. It's what you know from DNN. No, it's nothing new, because this includes non-DNN users. So then we have to explain everything. But then you'll get into what the entities are, what actions, workflows, So it's a lot of video content here. So let's take, for example, tokens, which, I mean, for many of you, you already know tokens. Of course, they will be on the new interface, which is only PlanTNet, but the module is the same, the functionality is the same. So then this will take you over explaining how to use tokens, and everything is put in the context where you build a ticketing application. So then the steps that you do here teach you to build that system. So that's the nice part.
And I'll just speak up real quick here and say that I also went through this academy, and I thought it was very helpful. I think it's very well done. And Don, I think it's going to answer a lot of those questions that you've asked a couple of times about seeing how to actually do some of these things. It is longer than 15 minutes for sure, but you can do it in 15-minute blocks if you want. Yeah, it's worth it. I think you'll appreciate it, like I did.
I agree with that as well, Don. This is Craig. The fact I went through it and I built a ticketing system. It's funny, I'm using that now for my customers but it just gave you the concept and how to use things, and to build upon that, Bogdan. Something like this would be good for those advanced projects. So here's how you would, do X. And I don't know how long it takes to do this. I know it's very long, But and I don't even know if the community can do that and submit it to you guys and say, you know, here it is.
Yeah.
But that was very helpful to see it and hear about it.
Cool, very good.
Is that academy going to be generally available?
Yes, we are going to make it generally available and add more courses. You see, we only have one course right now, low-code fundamentals, but then we want to add more specialized courses, including like the low-code architecture, right? Because when you design a system, you know, there's many things that you either know and make the right choices, or you don't know and you make the wrong choices, and then you have to get back to the beginning over and over again to redo the architecture.
But if I wasn't reinventing the wheel every time, what would I do with all my spare time?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, well, if I wasn't reinventing the wheel every time, what would I do with my spare time?
Oh, okay.
We'll find something.
Yeah. But I think in another way, low code, it tends to do that. It tends to give you the freedom, you know, to come up with your own things. So then, yeah, it can fill up the entire spare time. And since Craig mentioned it, I think it's very valid. A story that I want to share with you. We are doing a partnership with KPMG. It's a very valuable partnership with us. And one of the guys went through this course. And after 1 week, they built a POC, a proof of concept, similar. That's a ticketing system for banks, for legal stuff. You know, like when something changes in the like a legal act, the bank has to create some work items to change their internal things. You know? So they started from these examples and they adjusted it a bit, and that was the proof of concept. You know? And the guy that was new to PlanTNAP did it in 1 week, the tutorial plus the proof of concept.
Great. Yeah.
So it's already started building the success stories even before being released, and I'm glad. The credits go to Radu and Patrick, and partially Dale. Dale also got involved into some of these videos. They did a wonderful job to create this tutorial. And this is also, just so you know, this is part of the bigger initiative, which is to have like a free plan, you know, like a self-service free plan that does have some limits, but it's fast and easy to use for simple apps, you know, something like that. So hopefully we'll get that out in 2 or 3 months. That's the timeline. Okay, and then in terms of case studies, so I showed you that portal that we are starting, but probably some of you saw this presentation that I'm usually do. It's my sales deck, let's call it like this. So do you know this? I think I showed it in a low-code cafe. I'm not sure if you remember, any of you remember it. Probably it evolved a lot anyways. But I think this would be useful to understand the various levels of conversations, you know, because the first slide that I have here is the pains conversation, you know, like what is the customer trying to solve, you know, and usually the customer for us falls into one of these categories, like they need to deliver faster. They are already doing software development, but it's slow, it's expensive. You know, the employees keep leaving the company and so on. So they have this pain. Or it's about modernizing legacy systems. We have customers that come with us with MS Access software. So I think it's also called replatforming nowadays, you know, like changing the technology, but keeping the same functionality. And then of course, this is the, let's replace Google spreadsheets and so on. This one, reporting dashboards, we see this one also very often, but these last two are new and we see an increasing demand for them. You know? So one is rapid prototyping. A good example that we have nowadays, it's a big company, they have like an e-commerce solution and they want to do some changes on their search page to see if that improves their sales. You know? But they cannot do it, they have an e-commerce solution. Every single change will take weeks until it gets deployed. Right? So they want to replace just the search page with a PlanTNAP page where they can do this rapid prototyping, change things fast, measure it, do another experiment, you know, things like that. So this could this is when it's tied to revenue generation. I think also the conversation is much easier for us as well. And then finally, this one is probably the most popular use case nowadays because it's so easy to have a few different SaaS systems in any business, you know, that they end up being a lot of decoupled systems with a lot of data silos that are not synced. So then you lose business intelligence. You have to do manual steps to check data in various systems and things like that. And then the ability to integrate these decoupled systems is what provides leanness to a business. You know, they can move faster, better, have more consistency, and so on. So this is like the pain point discussion, and then I have the use case and the case studies discussion, right? So for example, let's say that we want to discuss an EAP system, you know, employee assistance program. And the customers needs a system for that. I already have a case study from one of our customers, and I can talk about it. I have some links here. We also have like a video recording and a link, you know, and things like that. So my vision now is that this document, which by the way I haven't updated since October, I think, so it's already a lot of new case studies I should add to it. This should be generated from that system, you know, and any partner should be able to do this. So I guess my question, Don, would it help you to send you a list like that? I mean, it doesn't have that layer of architecture, but it does have the layer of what can you do with it. No.
Yes, that sounds very good.
Yeah. Okay. I will make a note to email you this presentation.
Yeah, just seeing that and seeing the demo to see what's possible, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we have, you see, we have from association management, transport management systems, property listings. This is the one that I showed you the article for. Patient portals, self-assessment forms, patient portal again, sales automation platform. So a lot of various use cases, and there's lots more. Okay, so I will make the note and I will send this to Don, and who else wants it?
Craig would love it. Thanks, Bogdan.
Okay, cool.
Send it to Mark too.
Okay, share with everyone then.
Yep.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Thanks, Bogdan.
Okay, so Dan, does this answer the questions that you raised initially?
Yes, this is good. Just so that I'm clear on my role in all of this, I'm probably not going to be the guy that goes deep down into and develops the applications. I would love to find applications, help with the architecture of the application, and then grab a team of people to build it. We are currently, our first project has just pretty much wrapped up, and it's not yet deployed. It'll be deployed because of COVID. Everything got pushed out. It should have been up and running last month live and for the people, but it's a county website that has property information, you know, specifically for mobile homes in a county. But it mirrors the other property system that they have, and it's the property system is probably going to be we're going to probably go and take care of the original house property system for paying taxes and what assessments have been made and things like that. So we built that. That's out there, and the way that it happened was we saw the need. We saw that this could do it. And so we got a team. In fact, the PlanNet development team are the ones that were the ones that built it. But what I really like to do is work with folks like some of you that are on here, anybody that would identify themselves as the developer, the one that would like to write the code, put the pieces together, figure out the low end, figure out what the APIs are, all of that stuff, and team up to do those things and kind of pull together a collaboration for a project. Because I don't know if I'd be the one that actually would be coding it. I have a coding degree and background, but it's a long time ago. So there's folks that do this, 24/7, and I don't do it enough. So yeah, this will help quite a bit for me to identify other jobs, finding them, talking with people. I can talk the high level about how it all can get put together, but then building the project would be great to have somebody to work with. So,
yeah. I think it's good to what you suggested, that find people in the community. I think that's the scaling model for everyone. And then I think we also have this initiative that we should extend the community forum, the community portal that we have today, to allow for these kind of things. Maybe have a job listings, or maybe have an opportunity listing, where people can share, like, I need help with this, I need a team to do this. We also have probably you saw this around. We have an initiative to partner with training companies, to produce, let's say, low-code engineers. So we have such a partnership in Romania. We are working on one in the US. So these people that graduate from that course, which will be like similar to the course that I showed you on the academy, these people will want to get hired. And then we can create, like, these are people that want to get hired, listing on the community portal. And then that could be a good way of getting good candidates, trained candidates fast, and maybe also at a fraction of a cost of what a senior developer would cost, for example.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah. Lots of, you heard me saying, like, lots of, this guy is too ambitious, lots of plans, lots of things that are coming up. But I think it's good that I'm aware that we'll not get there 100%, but when you have so many plans, it's reasonable to expect that a good part of them will happen. Right? So that's why I'm pushing on all fronts.
Awesome.
Cool. So I see in the meantime we have new people here. We have Reza, we have Jim, we have Albert.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
Happy Friday.
Hello, Reza.
Cool. So I think we did a tour so far, and we addressed I think everything that people had on their mind. So Jim, what's on your mind? What can this group help you with?
Dog's talking for him.
Or Albert, we can get back to Jim. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Bogdan.
Hey, good to see
How
you.
are you doing? I think one of the things I think Don hit upon is finding teams that can assist in projects. I think would be helpful. I know we've come to you many times with you're a great team and to help with some of our projects. So I think having more of that opportunity to find the help, that would be great.
Yep.
But I also went through just started the academy, and I'm, although a lot of it I'm familiar with, but it's well put together. It's a great course. I'm learning a lot of new things. So hats off to everyone who's involved in putting that together. I'm looking forward to seeing the next evolution of it, the next classes that you have out there to learn more. Yeah. About the whole Planet app and all the, what we can do with it. So it's really an awesome job.
Cool. Thanks, Albert. So Don, looks like you're the only one that didn't do that course.
Yeah, I feel behind. I missed one of the campfires, and I bet because the previous one we talked about it. Patrick, I think it was, yeah, and Dale talked about it and said that it's coming up, and then I missed the next week, family problem, and then I bet that's when you guys talked about it. So I'm looking forward to get in there.
Yep.
Cool. I've got something to throw out to the group just to get some feedback on. So you know how on the app builder, when you first hit it, it's got that screen that says like, it's like a rundown of how you would build an app. It all starts with the idea and then you've got to do the roles. It's great like your first couple of times, right? But then it is occupying premium real estate. And it was something we did like when we first started, right? Now we've got learn.plantanap and better resources, both for how do you build. But the thing I was kind of thinking of, like we're noticing that there needs to be kind of a dashboard or, that can bring a lot of different things to you, right? And one of those being like health check stuff. Are there any alerts? Are there updates? Is my GitHub connection not working? Is my license about to expire? You know, things that can grab your attention. And then kind of figured like, well, why not kind of round up a lot of the other stuff? Because there's a growing list of things you can do in App Builder, right? And so rather than just the menu to navigate amongst it, what about something also then, in addition to like alerts and some of that health monitoring stuff, that can kind of say, hey, you have 15 entities, you know, click here. There are 28 active users, you know, and stuff like that are kind of tiles. But then it becomes your kind of also navigation center. So it's radiating information at you, but can quickly let you jump to that section of the app as well. Would you guys, think something like that would be valuable? A dashboard that is the first thing you see when you hit App Builder? And then if so, second part is what types of things would be awesome to kind of bring together? Here's your app, your command center, you know, to all things your app. And it's little teasers and bits of stuff that's sprinkled out in other places. So yes, if you want to get the update, you click and it takes you to the update section. Here's your last 5 true errors that have come up in the admin logs. Click here to view all the logs, but at least you're kind of seeing, because who's digging in the logs when they're not seeing a problem on their site, right? But you might be spewing errors and not even know until someone reports it to you. So kind of here's recently things, you know, and then you click and takes you to the place where you do that at, but at least bringing that information to you in one spot. Do you guys see value in that? And what types of things would you want to see there?
Definitely see value in that. You mentioned early on about licensing. And I had mentioned, I think maybe just as you were coming onto the call, that our project was delayed, but thank God it was, because the license expired. I don't know exactly why. I'm guessing, you know, in moving back and forth between the developer dropping in a license on the site for staging it and then moving the thing over, and then it didn't get licensed, so a trial period ran out. At any rate, if this went live and the thing, the search page, which is the initial page, popped up saying license problem, and that was live, that would be horrendous. Luckily, it was still being, you know, kind of in the background in development. So yeah, having something that alerts, reminds that, you know, something's coming up is great. What the latest things are happening with the different instances, also great.
Side note, Don, I'm familiar with your issue, and we are working on so it's one thing to let you know here. It's another thing to make it not expose itself the way it did. So it will degrade more gracefully there and kind of contain that to the back end. And then the part 2 to that is still isn't going to help you if you don't know, right? And if I mask the problem more, then it becomes like running into a wall when the license, because it's kind of forgiving. We built it in a way, especially now and early, with a grace period while we work out. We don't know what we don't know. So last thing I wanted was people's sites locking up on them and stuff. So it's not going to shut you down, but that particular module kind of failed to degrade gracefully there and was exposing that. So we're fixing that and making sure that we don't put you in a weird spot with your app, but then also wanting to make sure there is some way to get your attention, you know?
Exactly. And then just I guess the other part is upgrades, and having a new module, an upgrade to a new module, etc. Keeping a site up to date, and what's the best practices for that. The dashboard probably could say like you learn when you're building DNN sites, this particular module works with this particular version. And above kind of things, the 9.4 problem, stuff like that. So,
yeah. So we do maintain a page in our learning center that and keep it every release up to date on like, here's the minimum, maximum versions that work together, an upgrade path. Problem is, and that's what happens when like we went from not having enough documentation to suddenly we're starting to get a lot of documentation. And I think maybe another thing in this dashboard or whatever would be some quick links to some of this, like, very important, useful information, and letting people know that that's here,
Yeah, awesome. Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you for the idea there.
Sure.
Reza, continuing to answer your question, it would seem to me that redefining that page is a great idea. There would have to be a component of it that would be configurable by us, so we could put on there what we were interested in seeing right away when we got on. The dashboard sounds like a great idea. Your dashboard component would be on there, and so that would have what we wanted to see. I would also say you could probably add a component of stuff that you want us to become aware of. I think you alluded to that, but I recall when I opened up like Photoshop or Illustrator, their opening page has news from Adobe on it. And so I think, it doesn't cover the page, but it's a component. So yeah, if there's something new you wanted us to know, that would be a good place, a column or so that it could be there.
I love it. So maybe like an announcement section, and so I'd mentioned alerts, and we're going to start having the system look at itself, right? So another idea for this section is sometimes, for example, when you're troubleshooting something with us, we might tell you like, you need to go into your web config or something and turn on verbose logging for a minute, right? But if you leave, and sometimes you got to leave it on for a day until the problem happens or let it accumulate logs. If you don't go back and turn that off, your disk space will start filling up, your site's going to run slower. Could be a security thing where it's exposing things outward. You don't want the inner workings of the systems exposed to your users, so you want to turn that back off, right? So I was talking with Dale, we had two ideas for that. One is there are certain things that need to be done in the web config, and rather than have people have to go into trying to lessen the need for the persona bars. I don't know if you've noticed, but page management and users and roles and a lot of the common stuff we're pulling out of there and hopefully giving a better interface into, but making it less needing for you to go dig around in the persona bar, because ideally you won't even have to log in as administrator or host to administrate and build the app is you can, right? But just taking that extra layer of complexity away and saying there's 50 things in that persona bar. Most people only need about 10 of them, tops, 5 usually, So we're pulling things out of there. And we were thinking like both the ability to inject into the web config certain things, turn on verbose logging. We'll go ahead and take care of putting that on in the web config for you, like the right setting. And then you can like turn it back off, but it'll alert you to things like, hey, you've got this on in your web config. You don't maybe have certain things that you need, and web config being one of them. Another is just, like I said, in general, things like your license is going to expire or you're like multiple versions behind. There's like security fixes you really should upgrade, so having like alerting but news is separate than that, right? Cool new feature, looking for ideas, need testers for the beta, whatever, and kind of more just about us and being in the family, right? Type of stuff. So I like that. You mentioned something else I think is an incredible idea, having a configurable section for yourself. And so I want to get to that, but wanted to let you all know about a thing and something we're thinking about doing. So some of the stuff in App Builder is actually, and if you ever go and look under the configuration page at the child pages in there, that's the wherever App Builder is installed. It creates a set of pages and puts certain modules and things on there, right? Some of the stuff is purely built by us, like Entity Builder is not going to be built with grids and forms, right? Like that needs to be controlled. But things like that page management, the SQL console that's there, those are actually all just built with PlanTNAP. Now the system puts all that out there for you, but you could go and edit and change that stuff. If you needed to see something that's not showing up, like something we're going to work on in the next release, the user screen doesn't show you the ID of the user. And actually Persona Bar doesn't really either. And so sometimes it gets really hard when you're trying to figure out who is user ID 6, right? And like you should just be able to look there for it. Well, technically that's just a grid and you could go add that field. What will happen though when we release the next update is we're going to push out like our official managed version of that and it'll overwrite yours, right? So like you could make a copy of what we have there and go your own way with it. What we were thinking about though is having the system just like, let's all embrace this. And yes, we know that there's a user management screen and it's over here. It's our template. But what you could do is say, hey, I want to clone or extend this template and I want to do my own thing. And I want PlanTNAP to not worry, it'll still put its own out there. We're always going to fall back or have what we control and put out, but you can tell the system, actually my user management thing that I want pulled in here is this one that I did. And then that's what you'll see in App Builder for these certain types of areas where, again, you could, and more we're seeing there's a lot of value in us building some of this stuff with PlanTNAP technology itself. One, we can get more people in the game of building features into PlanTNAP that aren't coders, right? I mean, that's the whole low code motto, but you all can customize and do things. And so in the spirit of that, what do you think of that idea? Having the ability to say, look, why I bring that up is your idea of, well, on this console, I can just say, look, there's a page out there that's called your stuff, right? It's your baby. What do you want to put on there? That's what we're going to pull in and show you in that section of the dashboard, we'll call it, or whatever, right? This command center. And you can do whatever, put a listing there, a grid, a razor token, anything that's going to give you useful things that you use. Maybe for you, onboarding a user isn't just adding a user in our user screen. There's a whole workflow that needs to happen, right? And you want them to accept things and, you know, onboard a different way. You could put your own link and button there to, hey, add a new user my way, you know, and take care of that yourself. So what do you think of this kind of ability to clone off and maintain your own versions of some of this functionality? Would you guys find value in that? Would you use that?
Yeah, I think everybody would. Because I might want to see certain things, and you know, Don and Mark, they want to see something different. You know, maybe my biggest thing is, you know, the server. You know, what's the health of the server? Is it, you know, do I need to upgrade? Is the server peaking out? I mean, I had an issue about a month ago where one of my tables and the scheduler got so full that it locked my app out. Where this would alert me that, hey, you know, this particular table is getting full or whatever it may be. You may want to go take care of that. So this helps me. That's what I want to look at, where, you know, other folks may want to look at, you know, kind of something different. So no, I like that.
Okay. Also, if I might add, Reza, my question is, would this have to live inside the app, or can it live outside the app? So meaning, can it live in our console? Because what happens is, let's say you have 10 different instances, you know. So then maybe you want to start consolidating some things, you know, and then the other thing is maybe it's not safe to run health checks on the instance that's running them. You know, you'll have a biased perspective. You know, if that system goes down, the health check goes down, right? So that's a different thing. And the third thing that we are starting seeing is policy. You know, I decide that all my applications will use the GitHub integration, and I want to force everybody building apps to set up GitHub before using anything, right? So then I can make that a policy, and if I have that central system, you know, it can act more than health checks. It can also act as enforcing a policy for all my developers. Right?
It almost sounds like maybe there's a command center within an app that is isolated or looking inward at just that app, and then there's in console truly being your console. The reason and it's able to look across the instances, get you into them, things like that, like kind of what it's supposed to be today, but having global settings as well as windows into some of the apps. The reason I think they still might be separate though is that things like the page manager, right? If it lived in console or like the custom content, you lose the ability to run the built-in like read actions and leverage the security that's within the app there, and you'd have to do it all through API. Maybe having both, which is here's stuff that's all of my apps pull in that are maintained here. Here's me changing the way the user grid works for just this app because they have a different workflow there, you know?
I was referring strictly to the dashboard part of it and to the health checks part of it, not the management part of let me create pages, but running the health checks from outside the apps and then doing the dashboard across all the apps as well.
Yeah, I'd love to put that on a big screen TV in my office to see, if you have multiple instances, which I do, and then if you have multiple portals, when the Plantain app, supports that, then you have multiple portals on an instance as well to see who's logged in, to see if, certain things are, needed to break it down that level.
You may be able to turn keep alives on and stuff against them that are coming from an external source,
Right.
Like heartbeat checking type of stuff.
Reza, another answer to your question, would we like to clone off one of your pre-built pages to customize it ourselves? I think I would like that, but I would have some concern probably about my own ability to update that. When you guys update your version, mine will then not have that update. And I'm probably going to want what you're putting out because you guys are doing a lot of stuff pretty quickly and I probably fall behind. And I would feel that. So I think that would be a concern of mine. So throw that in your bag.
So the reason I mention it as a templates thing is, so one, we don't override you, right? And that if we build an interface for this, we'll know, not that you made some random page and put stuff on it, but that you have a template for user management that goes in this section, like we're aware of it that way. And so, in our change notes that would be surfaced up more to you, so I'm just kind of saying, what if we made sure you knew that we've added user ID to the user screen, right? And then you can go, oh, well, I want to add that too. Let me see how they did it. But also with this templates, in case, flip side is you made a change and broke something, you always have the ability to fall back. You can actually just say, whoops, I better go back to Plantain app, or let me just make a clean template and build that one up again. But you can always go back to there's always the core ability that we say out of the box, here's the minimum we think you should get. But you can look at it, use it as a reference of how did they add this in and stuff. The only thing when I brought this idea up to the team, they were like, that was their one caveat is if they go their own way, we need to always make sure we have ours and they can come back. But then we can't have awareness of like, it's too hard for us to look at your grid and be like, what did you do different? Or maybe you didn't even want a grid, So we're not going to try to like monitor it and tell you what's different, but at least let you know there's been changes to these things that you've made your own templates for,
Mm-hmm.
and alert you that way. And here's what's changed. You can go and kind of engineer that in. I guess the idea here is, in general, you wouldn't need to do this or want to do this, right? It's only when you are going, something is different or I'm missing, this doesn't work for me here. User management is one that I personally, with some sites, have seen that I need to create a separate user registration capability that follows business logic and multi-step, and I don't want to just go stick a user into this. It's about more than creating a user account and putting a role to it, right? It's how they got there that this wouldn't give you. And so I can see where, I would just say like there's going to be times where I don't think anyone's willy-nilly going to be like, let me just go and make my own version of this, or it's certain cases. So I think you'd have an awareness, and as long as we had some way to let you know, you've got a template and ours changed. You can review that then and stuff. Do you worry then that you would miss anything that way, or?
No, I think you're handling it perfectly. I wouldn't ask for anything different. I think I would personally just be pretty choosy on the items that I personalized for myself. I mean,
yeah,
so that I wouldn't be doing it all over the place, because then I'd be creating a maintenance issue for myself later.
Yep.
So.
Side question just got me thinking, like, how do you all feel about, or your awareness of, like, the way we communicate change? Like, there's the change log built into App Builder, but you got to go to it, and then there's the email we send out. Do you when a release happens and here's all the features, are you able to consume that, or do you consume it over time, or do you find yourselves, I mean, we want to move even faster, right? But there is a rate at which you can be aware of and accept change. How's the awareness right now? Is there a better way we should communicate this stuff? We try to talk about it in Low Code Cafe, and I give the demos and stuff, but are you all able to absorb, like, hey, there's new stuff, or if things have been fixed that I care about?
Email is still the best. I can't make all of the cafes or the camps, and to say that that's the only place we're going to be talking about it is not good, of course. But you're not doing that. But emailing is just keeping it aware, keeping us aware is perfect for me.
What about the change log within the app? Do you guys see that there in updates? Does anyone ever look at that? Because you can actually filter and search and sort and stuff there, But currently, it doesn't give you a list of everything. You have to pick a release. Here's your release.
Don't we also see that list of changes and updates when we're choosing to upgrade things?
That's the main time you see it, right? But I wonder if people are going, well, I want the new release. Am I going to actually read and digest 50 items? Or do I kind of scan it and go, like, you know what, I'm taking it, and I'll explore this as I go? I'm just wondering, like, when there's 30, 40 things that have changed in the system, and maybe, my advice is keep current, obviously. I've seen this now for the last 10 releases. Personally, I always feel like what we have out, I wouldn't run on anything other than this. Like, I know this is the best version of PlanTNAP there's ever been. So far, every version has incrementally been the best version there's ever been. This next one will be the same thing, right? So my advice would be take it. I maybe wouldn't take it the day it comes out. If it's like your production, I wouldn't just go live with it right away. Take it somewhere and test it out and make sure it's good. Like any release, we do that as well. But I would always say, don't fall behind, right? And are you falling behind, or, part of the point of the communication is to entice people that, hey, there's security stuff here, there's new features here, you need this. Don't wait too long,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good for that dashboard. Like you said, when you first log in, it says, hey, you're too behind, here's what you're missing. You're not compliant with X, or, whatever it is. To your point, it is critical to do that. So I look at the emails like Don, look through it, before when it was just, DNN Sharp doing, the separate modules. I always look, do I even need this kind of thing? Because sometimes it broke something else, or sometimes, I had to fix something or change something. But now, with the one click, and it's going through where you guys have thoroughly tested everything and gone through the QA 5 times, I feel confident to keep, up to date on those. And that helps me to see the change log that Bogdan's showing, what's been changed, what's been fixed. So if I need to, change something because I had a workaround, but now it's fixed, I can go, fix it the way it needs to be.
Okay, well, we're going to break ground on that then. Monday.
My piece on that is that I look at that log and I see that one line. Is there a way to get more detail? Because I see problems there. That could be my problem that I was having, and I was, or now is it fixed, or is it just something similar?
I think, Bogdan, can you hit the change log one? So there is a description that I fill out on some of these. I thought it was pulling them in, like it gives a little more detail on some of these. The other thing we do keep track of is, especially on these fixes, if they came from the support center, we tie these entries to the ID of the ticket. So what I could also do is put a link when there is like a community forum post or a support center thing, so you can go read the details of it there.
That would be good.
That'd be very helpful.
Good. Yeah, I like that.
Especially more information. Good point. Because some of them are just, the title, where some of them you absolutely can tell, but someone's like, okay, that's a little generic. What is it really doing?
Yeah. Okay. We'll take that up right away. I'm getting ready to put release notes in today, so for the next one.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's always a good time. Well, thank you all for the feedback.
I gotta bolt, so I will talk with you guys. Thanks so much for a very enriching talk, because I learned a bunch of stuff, and I'm looking forward to that link and jumping into the academy and getting more of those use cases clear in my head. Take care, everybody.
Bye, Don.
Awesome. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Don. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Do we have a minute for another question?
Sure.
I'll hang.
I have a client that wants me to use their Active Directory people's login from Active Directory to authenticate in the app and set security. Is there anybody that's doing that yet, that there's an example or maybe an add-on that I'm just not aware of for hooking into Active Directory?
I think it also depends what AD. Is it Azure AD or is it Windows classical AD?
It's Windows. In our previous apps, we hooked into the security context and got their username, and then we just ran the username against a lookup table.
Yeah.
A permissions table.
Yeah. And then the other question is there an OpenID configured for that AD? Because I think you can configure OpenID for Windows AD as well.
Yeah.
Because
out of their security team.
If there is an OpenID, we do have an OpenID. I'm not sure if we ever released it inside as an add-on, but it's something that we'll include in the product, especially in the enterprise version of PlanTanApp. So then if you need an OpenID connector, PlanTanApp does have an OpenID connector that we used in the past with various OpenID providers, like was the one from AWS Cognito, the one from Okta, it's a different provider. I think we used it with a few others, but we didn't use it with something that's on-premise like Windows AD. But if they support OpenID, it's a standard. So all providers would be able to use the same code.
I'll look into that.
If I can jump in just to answer your question, I am actually creating right now an application that is using Windows AD authentication. It's an add-on that we purchased. Again, I don't know exactly if it's going to play well with PlanTanApp, but it's a direct DNN authentication module. Yep. So I don't think it would be problematic, but it's really nice because it very easily hooks into your Active Directory. What it does is it basically syncs up the user information with your local tables every time the person logs in. So you can map roles and groups to your local roles and groups on the website. Every time the person logs in, it authenticates them, and then it syncs up their permissions so that every time they log in, you basically have the latest permissions. And then you just basically work with them as you normally would within your regular instance. And if you're interested, it's called AD Pro. You can find that on the DNN storefront. So if you go to store.dnnsoftware.com, search for AD-PRO, and you'll see there's a bunch of modules there. They have a large package, what they call a bundle package, and it has a bunch of things where it allows you to reset passwords and password reminders for expiration, things like that. But they also just have a basic authentication module if you just want that.
Hey, Bogdan, along those same lines, it's funny, I just had a conversation this morning. Somebody's they have SharePoint and wanted to display a dashboard inside, but whoever's logged into SharePoint then log them into PlanTanApp to show the dashboard. Is that even possible, or would that be a custom?
I think that's possible. I used SharePoint maybe a decade ago, so
Yeah, me too. I can spell it maybe.
yeah, but I know that you do have the ability to embed stuff into it. So I think I even did some iframing a long time ago. I think in the meantime they also added this JavaScript model to build extensions.
Gotcha.
Worst case scenario is you build a JavaScript extension for SharePoint that injects the iframe. So I think iframing would be the easiest to do because, especially if they are on the same domain, you know,
right?
The problem with iframing, they need to be on the same domain.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Right. And I think we are actually using SharePoint a lot more than we know, because if you are in the Microsoft world, like we use Teams, a lot of the apps that we see in Teams, it's actually SharePoint behind the scenes.
Right.
I was surprised to see that. And then, I mean, since we are here, and in the meantime, we had Reza. Reza, one of the topics that Craig brought up is how can people get those cool things that we show and you showed in the webinar, more specifically the login thing, the advanced authentication and remember me webinars. How can people get maybe a clone of the system where you did that to see how it was built, or what do you think?
Well, there's the short answer is there's a short-term way probably and a long-term way. So we can I can give access to some of these, like that one is a site. I think what would be cool is if it like restored or reset itself every day. I've seen people do that, right? You can come in here and play around, but every 2 hours it's going to get rebuilt or something. Mm-hmm. So that the thing kind of stays what it is, right? And doesn't drift or, you know, get messed with too much or broken. Mm-hmm. We can do something like that for now. That was one of the things we're kind of working towards, though, is having this idea of mini apps or something. And the thing we're working on in this 1.15 release to start down that path is being able to have a template app, a starter app. So this isn't like the mini app thing. This is kind of a bit of an all or nothing, like, ooh, I want to import this one app into my system. Just for now, it'll be that one only, just so we can get that going. And so we can make these starter apps and maybe have the ability to spin up like a trial one or something, and you can import that app in and take a look at it that way. But yeah, looking for a way to make these be able to be importable. So as with the next couple releases, that's what we're working on. Is first is, can we just have a starter app that you can, or more, right? And then you all can start making them too and putting them out like a marketplace type thing. The second step is, now I want to import that app, you know, or take backups or whatever, but we'll be able to bring more in that way. I still think that's too big for the scope of, hey, I just want to check out what you did on the login page and these workflows. So maybe that particular one I can write up a little bit, or I think the shortest path to all of that would just be that we can make these accessible and just have them reset daily.
Yeah, Reza, this is great. You know, that would be great in a short term, because you can log in and export, import, and see how you did it, and you know what you used, and you know just build it on our end, but using that as a roadmap. And then to your point, if I accidentally screw something up, it refreshes, and so nobody else is harmed.
Yeah, and that particular one, I've actually continued going on it, and it's a really good one, and it was built well. So I think I want to do kind of a write-up on that one that is just like, look, there's these 4 workflows and these things, so that you have a little bit of a guide to it. It's not like it's rocket science. It's just like anything that once there's 10, 15 things in play, even if they're small, you got to wrap your head around them. So I do want to kind of let people know, you know, and it's really stuff I already developed for those low-code cafes along the way. I just want to pull it all into one spot and be like, first is this, then you go to extend it to here, and then you go here. But the thing I'm working on right now is these are these hardware security tokens. This is the future. And I have one in my computer. This thing has, I can put it up to my phone, and it's got a chip. I've got all my personal authentications for things I care about, banks and wherever they're accepting this, and it'll prompt me, to touch this little sensor on here when it's plugged into my USB. Now you don't want to lose this, that's why I have two. But this becomes like your lifeblood, and this is the most secure way you can authenticate people these days. And so I'm actually extending that thing to, it's got a really easy API to work with, and these are like $30. And except this one particularly is accepted on like the most sites and stuff, different things. And so that Remember Me will also prompt for this if you turn it on. So I'm still
That's
working
awesome.
on it, and I'd love to share it, as I've probably spent more time on it than I should have.
Yeah, it's funny. Like 10, 15 years ago, I remember carrying around a fob, and it generates a number and goes in, and that went away. And then now with all of the hacks and all of the, things, going on with security, those are coming back. So it's good to see you're doing that. Yep.
Yep. Just the tech has gone further, it's like a near field chip, but you're right. It is mathematically just that fob that's rotating the number every so often.
Yep. That's cool.
Okay. And I think we also, we had Hans, he left. I wanted to just say hi to him as well. We'll catch him next time.
All right.
Okay, so good meeting today. Thanks everyone for being here. I'll pop into this campfire once in a while to say hi and see you.
Thanks for running the show.
Perfect.
Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Bargain.
Very good.
Thanks for being here too.
Cool. See you.
Look forward to it.
Everybody have a good weekend.
See ya.
Good weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.